We're very much a member-led organisation, and we provide services for the 400,000 people in the UK today who are struggling with sight and hearing loss. We do that through our befriending programme, our carers programme, through one-to-one support, through our counselling that we offer. We offer respite for holidays for our members too. So there are so many activities that we get involved with to make sure that the deafblind community feel fully supported, that they are able to achieve and go on to do the things that they want to do. And we're there to give them that helping hand and to hold their hand through it. So we're just about to launch a new education programme where we're working with schools to be able to understand better the challenges that young people are facing. We know that there are more deafblind children being born every day due to children being born prematurely, and a child born before 32 weeks, for example, their senses haven't fully developed. So we know that there are probably about 10,000 children entering mainstream school every year who are struggling with their sight and hearing, who aren't necessarily being catered for. We're also launching a new programme where we're helping more deafblind people get into work. And that's a really key area for us. This Freshers September, we launched a programme working with universities to make sure that these young people who have come through the system, who are now going to university, are fully supported and feel accepted and included when they're in university, not just in the education part, but in the social side too. So it's really key that we talk to so many people about how they can welcome and communicate and feel that they're able to involve people who have a sight and hearing loss. And we're also about to launch a diversity programme because we understand that there are more and more people who need our help, who we aren't necessarily catering for. So we're hoping that that's going to make a huge difference, and it's going to allow us to reach new communities that we haven't reached before. So that's Deafblind UK. It's very quick. I know a lot of you have already sat through Andrew's presentation, so I'm not going to say too much more than that. But if anybody is interested, if you'd like to learn a bit more about deafblindness, we're very happy to come into your organisations. We can talk to you and we can give you simulation spectacles, and we can simulate and give you a very small glimpse into what it might be like to lose your sight and hearing, just so that you start to grasp how difficult life can be if you don't get the full support. At Deafblind UK, we're very lucky that we're able to provide that support, and we do that because of companies like you, groups of people like you, who are so willing and welcoming and want to help us. So thank you all very, very much. We really appreciate it. I'm very excited about this evening, so I won't speak anymore. I'll let you get on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shirley, for those kind words. And it's really great, the work that you do, and really important. And we are really honored to support the work that you are doing. So yeah, thanks again for working with us. It's really great to have you here tonight. So yes, now I think we can move on to the criteria. So before that, actually, so I'll let our judges introduce themselves. So we'll start off with Muntasir, if that's okay, if you can quickly introduce yourself.
Salam and hello, my name is Muntasir. I am a co-founder of Deen Developers 2, and I work behind the scenes on some of our projects and stuff. And I'm also a software engineer by day, so that's my full-time role. And yeah, excited to see and learn what the teams have for us in store today.
Thank you very much. Shirley, would you like to go next?
Yes, hi, I'm Shirley and I look after fundraising, trading and marketing at Deafblind UK. I've been with the organisation for nearly 5 years and I love it. It is the best job I've done. I get to work with amazing people. So, and again tonight, just keeps giving. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you very much. Over to you, James.
I think that'll be me actually. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine. James can answer for me if he'd like to. So my name is Tim Locke, and I'm a colleague of Shirley's at Deafblind UK. I'm a digital inclusion manager at Deafblind UK, and we run a number of projects where we support our deafblind members and the wider deafblind community with digital technology. So we really, it's all about this evening. Really, it's all about the connecting that community and the pan disability community as well to the outside world, making everybody more socially inclusive and, you know, using great tech to be able to do it. So I think tonight will be absolutely fantastic, and it's great to have you guys committing in the way you have done to the community. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Tim. Roger, are you here to?
I'm here, yes, hello. My name is Roger. I'm the real trick. I'm deafblind, but not on Zoom. I can hear well on Zoom and see a tiny bit. But in many circumstances, I am deafblind. I'm proud to be a trustee of Deafblind UK. It's a great organisation. It really does stuff. And my history is I've been an educator, and for 20 odd years, I ran a small company. We trained people with disabilities to use this wonderful tech that grows from strength to strength year by year.
Brilliant. Great to have you here, Roger. And I think we also have Zoe with us now. Zoe, do you want to quickly introduce yourself? If you're here.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Zoe from Deafblind UK. I think you've all met me or have spoken to the teams, most of the teams over the weekend. So thank you so much for putting in all your hard work and effort this weekend. And I'm super excited to see what the judges think and to see which one they go with.
Brilliant. Great to have you here. Cool. I think that's everyone. Thanks for your introductions. Great to have you all here. I'll pass it over to Muntasir, who's our first judge, to quickly explain what the criteria are for judging tonight.
Sure. No, thank you, Alamin. I think, first of all, thank you very much to Deafblind for joining us on the judging panel. It's above and beyond this judging criteria, you guys, your experiences, your even with lived experiences on the panel, your experience and expertise in this area will no doubt play a part into judging the teams. And on a wider note, we do have a general criteria which we use to judge in our hackathons. So I'll just, I guess, briefly touch on that. So the first kind of criteria we look for is uniqueness. You know, when we're thinking about uniqueness, solutions that are presented, we think about, you know, do we know anything that's already out there, basically? Are there already any similar initiatives? Are there already any similar solutions? How does this team have a unique approach if there's, you know, despite any similarity to existing solutions or initiatives? And, you know, does the idea seem innovative? The next criteria we look for is impact. So for impact, we look at, you know, how well does the team understand the problem of the people it aims to target? To what extent does their idea offer a helpful solution, an impactful solution that actually addresses people's needs? And, you know, does the solution exhibit impact to tackle the problem at hand, and how well has the problem been defined and sort of focused on? The next criteria we look at is scalability in general. I mean, it's quite self-explanatory. You know, can this be replicated easily? Can the solution scale up to hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of people? And can it be relevant across multiple languages and geographical contexts? And this is something, obviously, you look at any technical solution, any software solution as well. Fourthly, we look at feasibility. So is the idea realistic? Is it a bit too far-fetched? Can it be implemented you know, easily? Can we use existing resources? Can we harness our existing resources? Does it play well with stakeholders in the problem domain, in the space? And, you know, does the team have a long-term plan? Does the team have a long-term idea as to how they're going to sustain their idea feasibly? And finally, I think the last one is readiness to launch. So hackathons at Deen Developers, we're all about launching problems straight into space. We want the problems out there, and that's why the teams, you guys have been working hard over the week and over the weekend to get things ready for actual people to use. So that's, of course, the last criteria. And this is a general criteria, but of course, as I said, deafblind, you guys, your experiences are the real criteria here. And we really hope that you guys can shed some insight as well onto the presentations.
Definitely, yeah. Thank you for that, Muntasir. Yeah, and just to reiterate, I guess, for those who have just joined us on the live stream, we have 3 amazing teams with us today who have sacrificed their weekend to build hopefully 3 very impactful solutions, which you will hear about really soon. And yeah, we are collaborating with Deafblind UK on this hackathon. I'm really honored to have them here with us tonight. And yeah, so over to the pitches now. So I'll just quickly explain how this will work. So we have 3 teams, like I have mentioned. Each team will have 10 minutes to present their ideas. So 5 minutes presentation with a 5-minute demo, after which there will be about 4 minutes for the judges to kind of give their feedback, to ask any follow-up questions, to make any remarks, and for the teams to kind of reply back to those questions or remarks. And then we'll kind of move on to the next team until we have hopefully had 3 amazing pitches. So without further ado, can I ask the team 1 to come on and present?
Hi everyone, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
Can everybody hear me okay as well?
Yes, can hear you.
Perfect. So salam and hello everybody. Hope you're all well this evening. So as team 1 of this hackathon, we present to you our idea, which is Spectra, a platform to find people who care and help that matters. So to begin with some introductions, my name is Adil. I'm a product manager by day in the public sector. And today in my team, we're joined by Nasreen, who is our UX designer. We have Nuria, Hannah, and Madiha, who are developers, and we were supported by Humera and Kuram as developers. So for this project, we picked problem 4, which is people with sensory loss. This includes hearing, sight, and dual loss, find it difficult to meet like-minded people to forge friendships. So in our initial ideation session, we got together as a team to brainstorm ideas, and that is how Spectra was born. So our hypothesis is to test assumptions whilst building this as a platform, as we believe that by providing an accessible platform to members of the deafblind community, more users will have a way to interact with like-minded volunteers through shared similar interests and request for assistance. So why Spectra? So this is a really hard-hitting quote that I found from a blind individual whose name is George, who says, "Being blind, I live in darkness, and not having contact with other people makes my world very silent." George's comment may really hit home for some of us, and he's not alone. Over 390,000 people fall into dual sensory loss, and with some of these being older, more frail people, it's predicted by 2030 there will be 480,000 older people with dual sensory loss. Loneliness is a huge issue, and if you're deaf, blind, or suffer from dual sensory loss, then this can be much harder. Socializing in general can be difficult, tiring, and hard to navigate. Interactions may be more functional rather than fun, and isolation can be inevitable without some form of support. This is all a real problem, and we need to rely on one another to help solve. This then leads us on to our vision, which is to build a world where no person with sensory loss is left without assistance or a shoulder to lean on when they need help. There's always someone close to lend a helping hand, and it's our job to help bridge that gap to make life just a little easier. At Spectra, we want this vision to lead us into the future, to build on and to create the perfect platform used by isolated or lonely people who just need assistance as deaf, blind individuals. For this MVP and more, some of our USPs that we are proud to introduce include an accessible and simple UI. So we've taken into account WCAG guidelines, gov.uk, and Home Office guidance on designing for accessibility. This includes the use of simple colors for contrast, simple layouts, plain language, and a clear, easy user journey to fulfill their needs. We also provide location-based recommendations, display your skills for volunteers, and also drop-down menus instead of search functions to pick what you need assistance with as a user. So now we're going to move on to a demo. So I'm going to pass over to Nasreen, who should hopefully walk you through that.
Right, thank you, Adil. Salam, everyone. I'm Nasreen. I was the UX designer for this project. I'm just going to share my screen. Please let me know if you're able to see it. Right, can everyone see it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, yep. Perfect.
Yes.
Right, so I think before I begin, it's quite important to state that given the time constraints, there's only so much that we could do, but we've actually laid out the groundwork for future development. So I'll run you through our basic design and what this will look like for now. So the user logs in and they are met by their dashboard where they're able to view their notifications, connections with volunteers that they've had previously whom they can reach out to, as well as volunteer suggestions based on their profile. So the basis for this for these suggestions can be interests, skills, as well as location. So that's that. Then the user can go ahead, find volunteers for any specific tasks that they need to. So they can go ahead, select a task, for instance, traveling. Then they'll basically be met by a number of volunteers ready to help them with that task, and their skills will basically ensure that that task is fulfilled. So we'll look at Mary. So there we go. And then we've got Mary, who's a car owner who can basically get the traveling tasks done. In this volunteer section, you'll also be able to see reviews of previous people who received help from people like Mary, volunteers like Mary, and an experience rating. And this is just to build credibility on the part of the volunteer and to create good experiences mutually for both parties. And so essentially the user will then be able to send in a connection request. And once that's sent, once that's sent and then accepted on the part of the volunteer, they'll be able to go ahead and message them with details of the task. And we've also got an interest section. So the crux of our, of our solution is to create meaningful experiences and meaningful bonds. So just having interests there, people can connect on topics that they mutually find interesting, and they're appealed to. And just a simple task of helping someone can actually be an experience that can provide the groundwork for more stuff. I hope I'm making sense. Right, and then we've got the My Profile section where the user is able to go ahead and edit their information. And yep, so this is what we have for now. This is what our developers have developed over the course of 2 days with time constraints, and have done a really good job, I think. Now I'm just going to show you what we'll have ideally, for future development. So I'll just share those designs. If you could give me a second, please. Right. So here's what Spectra will hopefully look like once we do go ahead and develop it. So accessibility and inclusivity are at the heart of the design choices that were made. Inclusive design just means a solution that fits for everyone. So it is worth noting that basically there are 2 portals for entry. So the volunteer can join, and so can a member of the deafblind community. And anyone who does enter this platform will have the ability to turn on voiceover features, adjust color differentiation depending on their visual impairment, and whatever spectrum, part of the spectrum they fit in, and they can adjust text sizes. Experience is quite personalized. As you can see, they can adjust their information, add an emergency contact, and then they're met by their dashboard. So here they'll be able to find their connections, as you were able to see in the actual MVP, and they can find volunteers. And as Adil mentioned previously, we've got drop-down menus just to make the whole experience a little bit more smoother and easier. and the suggestion as touch, and the ability to send a request and then eventually be able to send a message. Then my profile, so profiles will look like this. And essentially the usage of icons and everything, it's just there to aid members, both of the deafblind community as well as volunteers, in how they navigate through the page. And they can also navigate, they can find the notifications. So just a little bit more about our design system. So the design choices, we've made sure that they're really simple, that most of the features are functional and not just decorative. So they're there to perform a function, and essentially to ensure that, that the whole experience is accessible and equitable for everybody. So that's that. Over to you, Adil.
Thank you, Nasreen. That was great. Just going to quickly run through the tech stack. So if you can all see that, so the tech stack that we used was React, React Router, Chakra UI, and Firebase. And then just to kind of go over future plans, so we've roadmapped out beginning Q1 of the next year, a now, next, and later. So we begin with our MVP, conduct some usability testing with what we have already, and then incorporate some features like sharing your live location, sharing your location with your emergency contact, and improving your data capture. Following that, we'll be conducting some more user research and enabling our sort of volunteers and members to connect with others through social media platforms, as opposed to just an email or a messaging means, and also personalize the experience for recommending events, forums, and meetups, which will eventually lead us to a MVP 2.0, where we can focus more on safeguarding, reassessing those accessibility needs, and sort of adding on the nice to haves, for example, like the ratings and reviews, or even a chat functionality to talk directly to volunteers within the app. And that's us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Team One. Brilliant presentation and amazing idea, and really great work to see kind of what you guys have worked on. And I think definitely something I feel personally that can have a big impact, hopefully, in our community. So I'll pass it over to the judges to ask any questions, for any remarks, any comments. So over to you guys.
I'd like to just say thank you to Adil and Nasreen and the rest of your team. It's a really brilliant idea, and my head is racing now with all the things that we might be able to do. My biggest concern would be around the safeguarding. How do we vet the volunteers? Is that what you're thinking as well, Tim?
Yeah, it was very much, Shirley. I think that one came in on the post planning. Once the app's been launched, and it was something that obviously would have been looked at eventually, but it was a bit, it was quite far down in terms of the development. It's probably something that we would want to bring in a little bit earlier, definitely, I think. Yeah. Is that what you were thinking, Shirley?
Yeah, that would be my only concern, because obviously the people we support are really quite vulnerable, and we do need to make sure that we are looking out for them as much as possible. But I love the idea. I know that Be My Eyes have launched, they have a fantastic app that works incredibly well, and they have over 4 million volunteers. So people want to help, and it's amazing that we might be able to connect those people that want to help with those people that it's not just about help that deafblind people want. They want companionship, they want friends, they want people that they can talk to that aren't necessarily all deafblind. I think we tend to lump people into one. If you've got a certain type of ability or disability, you get put into a category with those people, and you may not have the same interests as those people. So we're looking for them to develop meaningful relationships with sighted hearing community as well as other deafblind people, so that they can have the same type of relationships that everybody else has. You know, we don't all have the same friends. So that's what we're looking to achieve. So I really love this. Thank you so much for working so hard on it.
It was interesting, Shirley, wasn't it? Because you mentioned Be My Eyes there, and we know the guys from Be My Eyes. We've had discussions with them, haven't we? Did you not think the opening of the app, that the front interface was really great, wasn't it? Because it was in terms of sort of, uniformity with other apps, it was quite similar to the Be My Eyes in terms of the different types of logons that you could have, one for members and one for volunteers. And that was quite clean and clear and easy for people to grasp and understand, do you think?
Yeah, I just was blown away, really. I think it's just amazing, and not just obviously for deafblind people. You included people in there with a single sensory loss as well as a dual sensory loss, because those people are equally as important, and we still support people with single sensory loss as much as dual sensory loss. So it would be fantastic to think that there's an app available for the 15 million people in the UK today who are struggling with sight loss, hearing loss, or both. So yeah, I liked it. Roger, what were your thoughts? I can't see you on the screen now.
Is he still with us?
Are you still with us, Roger?
I'm just looking for Roger. Roger might have left us actually temporarily.
He is here, but I think he's muted.
I can't see him on the list.
No.
You think he? Roger, you're muted at the moment. I think he'll come in a second. I think just as Roger there is coming in, I'm sure he'll have lots to say about it. Yeah, I mean, I thought the citing of the accessibility tools was really clever. You had that in the top right-hand corner, and you had some really good accessibility options there, and that's pretty consistent with a lot of app design. Again, people will be familiar with that. I think in terms of the standards or the ideas of criteria that we were looking at the beginning, they ticked a lot of those boxes. I mean, definitely in terms of uniqueness, I think there was a high element of uniqueness there. I can't think myself of an app that does something similar that's out there at the moment. And certainly there is probably a high interest amongst some of the members I work with for an app of this nature. I think a high impact, without a shadow of a doubt, and definitely scalability, because with an app like this, of course, members can add onto the app, but volunteers can add onto the app, and with that link into the social media platforms as well, I think that gives another avenue to its development. And just from the chat, actually, a colleague of mine, James, mentioned about text size. Oh no, he said he loves that you can change the colors and the text size, of the app, which we both thought that was really, really good.
Yeah, I completely agree with Tim. I think the fact that the team has been able to build this in a weekend is absolutely amazing. You've got a fully fledged featureful app, and it seems to work. And I love the designs and the plans that you guys have with the text and color changes. Amazing. I think it's just, I'm blown away as well. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm blown away. We've got to try and get Roger in on here. Come on, Roger. Can he manage to unmute himself? Maybe something's happened there.
Yeah.
Well, while we wait for Roger, I had a couple of points of feedback which I was thinking about, which is number one, I think what Shadi mentioned at the start, which is the ratings and review side of things, which I think you guys mentioned maybe is later down in the roadmap. But I think I completely agree with Shadi and Tim in that safeguarding is probably one of the most important things on these kind of platforms, especially when it's hands-off, it's scalable, people are signing up and doing their own thing. We have to make sure that there's some mechanisms in place to prevent anything happen or anything going wrong. So ratings and reviews, which I think was mentioned there, is one of those features which is really built for trust, and people can trust the platform. Another thing is thinking about I noticed in design you kind of connect people first and then you mention your need, which is cool. I mean, obviously you want to build relationships as well, which Shirley mentioned, but at the same time there's a few apps, for example TaskRabbit and these general builders and helpful kind of apps. It might be worth looking at their products and thinking about why they take the approach of putting out the need first, and then connections reach out to based on the need and the location, so that can solve a lot of availability problems. And so that's something to think about moving forward in your design.
Yeah, definitely. I think we still don't have Roger with us, unfortunately. But yeah, do we have anything? Adil, I think, sorry, I just cut you off.
No, I was just going to say thank you so much for all your feedback. Just to say that safeguarding was one of our sort of the first concerns that we picked up on. So initially when we were sort of brainstorming ideas for the MVP, we wanted there to be like a chat functionality or some way for users to kind of interact with each other from both sides. But we were sort of hit with limitations because of safeguarding issues.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely something to consider. Yeah.
It's, I think it's absolutely great that you thought about that at the very beginning, and I think it's quite a difficult one to negotiate on an app design which is so fluid and so changing sort of daily, almost with the members and the volunteers coming on board. It's quite a difficult one to manage, and I think, you know, the very fact that you had it in your consideration and you incorporated it into your design plan was a really good thing.
Would there be a way of adding in? I'm just thinking. So this weekend, while you were all working incredibly hard, we sadly lost one of our members who was a really big part of Deafblind UK and a big part of the fundraising team. And I've been sat this weekend with a number of the deafblind people that he supported who have are really going to struggle. They're going to struggle with their grief, and they're going to struggle now because they don't have that friend to turn to anymore. He understood everything because he was deafblind himself. So I just think that to have a platform where other people can link with other people who might be grieving, other people who understand that. So it's not really a volunteer position. It's about how do they connect with other people who might be going through the same thing. Because I know that a lot of the people that really depended on him are really going to struggle. And another example, today I've sat with a lady who thought she might have cancer. She'd had to go and get her diagnosis at the hospital today. And of course, a lot of the language she didn't understand, particularly because of her sight and hearing issues. So she probably really wanted to talk to somebody else who has breast cancer, not a deafblind person. It could be a deafblind person, it might not be, but her experience is exactly the same as every other woman who's going through that situation. And the fact that she's deafblind shouldn't impact on who she can connect with and who she can reach out to. So I think developing the app to allow for connections to be made, as well as people asking for volunteer help, I think is a really key part of what we'd like to achieve for everybody, because they're not always able to make the same connections and the same friendships in the way that we can. So that for me is what I would love to see this doing, because I think that we would have quite a lot of people who'd really want to see that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you, judges. I think and again, thank you, Team One, for your presentation. Really great idea, and thank you for all your hard work. We still have two more amazing presentations, so do stick with us. So I will pass it on to Team Two now to present. So over to you guys.
Sorry, just give us a second. We're just trying to.
Sure.
Yeah, just getting the presentation up. Sorry. Can you see my screen? Okay, cool.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're all well. My name is Amina. I'm an accessibility advocate and content creator, and my team decided to go with problem statement 3, and we're going to introduce Recipe Mate. So search it, make it, plate it. Everyone needs a Recipe Mate, and we're going to talk you through what our idea is all about. Before we get into that, I would want to explain what accessibility actually is. Here's my wonderful team who helped put all of this together. So understanding accessibility requires you to understand disability, but ultimately the aim of accessibility is to ensure that as many people as possible have the option to access the web in a way that works for them. So regardless of what devices they're using, regardless of their disability, and this ultimately helps everyone too. There are a lot of accessibility features that we enjoy, even if we don't necessarily need them. So yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. And then the next part is to also acknowledge that there is an overlap between usability and accessibility. Like I mentioned previously, there are a lot of features that are actually designed for accessibility that we tend to enjoy. Even things like just having captions can be useful for us in certain situations where we might not necessarily need them, but it comes in handy. And the second bit is disability is a spectrum. As we all know, blindness also has a spectrum and deafness also has a spectrum. And there's also the overlap between the two. And it's important to therefore approach accessibility with that mindset. With all the guidelines and all the resources available to us, accessibility is very broad and different accessibility needs overlap as well. So we made sure to approach it with that mindset too. And finally, and most importantly, accessibility is a process, not an afterthought. We made sure as a team that we discussed accessibility and implemented it and kept it in mind throughout the whole development process. And with that said, I'm going to pass it on to Nabila, who will explain our problem statement for RecipeMate.
Thanks, Amina. We picked problem statement 3, focusing on improving the cooking experience for those with a sensory impairment, because food is something that we all have in common, and this problem fits with the expertise of our team. Zainab designs recipe books as part of her job, and Fatima has built a chat forum already. We split the problem into 3 main parts. Firstly, most recipes on the web are inaccessible. They are cluttered, hard to follow, and not optimized for a screen reader. Users are bombarded with pop-ups, advertisement, irrelevant information. Even for a non-deafblind user, it's a chore. Recipe websites are just too much. But for a deafblind user, this makes cooking a nightmare. It shouldn't be the case that someone who's deafblind struggles to find accessible recipes. Cooking is a highly sensory experience and builds a sense of community. We don't want our deafblind users to miss out on this. The second problem that we identified was a lack of confidence. Cooking is a life skill, and for people who may have already had to rely on others for so much of their daily lives, losing yet another small bit of independence can really knock their confidence. For those of us who take the ease of cooking for granted, we might not truly realize how much of a big deal being able to cook independently is, but for our deafblind users, it makes a world of difference. The third problem that we are solving with RecipeMate is the intense feeling of loneliness experienced by those with sensory loss who struggle to find people with similar interests to them. Because of the highly social nature of RecipeMate, with the recipe sharing, liking, and commenting features, connecting with others is no longer a struggle for our users. They can share tips, make friends, and ultimately enjoy being a part of the RecipeMate community. I'm going to hand over to Amina to talk through our thought process.
Great. Thank you. So throughout our thought process, we did some research, ran some accessibility checks using some of the free tools and extensions that are already available on different sites to see what was accessible and what was lacking in accessibility. And we also ensured that we tried to understand the pain point of different users. So we did a questionnaire and we reached out on social media to some of the users who are deaf, blind, and have both disability to also get an understanding as to how they experiencing accessing recipes online and how it made them feel. And then with that research, we decided to break down our process and ensure that from ideation to production to launch, accessibility was fed into the process throughout, because again, it's important to implement accessibility every step of the way instead of viewing it as an afterthought. And yeah, we made sure that we thought about how this is going to be useful for our users, how this would be accessible for them, considered different devices, screen sizes, color contrast, how readable was it, how understandable was it. And yeah, we just basically made sure that from start to finish, accessibility was the priority, because that's something that's lacking quite a lot in development. With that said, I'm going to now pass it on to Omid, who will explain the tech stack with us. Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much, Amina. So when it comes to the tech stack, we considered the combined skill set of all of our developers. All three of our developers had some level of experience with React, which is a JavaScript library for front-end development. And on the basis of this, we decided that the most feasible product would be to build an online web application, which will also be responsive, so that the application would provide a good user experience on a large screen, for example, desktop or laptop, as well as smaller screens, such as tablets and mobiles. Additionally, a benefit with React is that you can convert it into something that's called a progressive web application, a PWA. And what this does is it gives your application some of the features which are usually reserved to native applications, which you find like on the App Store or Google Play Store. In addition to React, we used a couple of other libraries, for example, Redux for managing the local application state, Redux Persist for caching and local system storage, Chakra UI for styling, React Router for routing, and a couple of other things too. When it came to user authentication, obviously it's very important to make sure that user data is safely stored and taken care of. For this, we use Google's Firebase service. And we also took advantage of Google's Firebase Firestore for storage to store some data. And yeah, so I will pass on back to Amina to speak a little on accessibility.
Great, thanks. So the reason why we went with this tech stack to implement accessibility with the recipe web app is that we wanted to make sure that we were referencing the web content accessibility guidelines. So making sure that it's perceivable, it's understandable, it can be operable, it's robust so that it can be used across all devices. And we also made sure to, from the technical perspective, implement semantic HTML first, rather than looking at jumping straight to looking at all the other ways to make the code base accessible. So we led with semantic HTML, so using headings, sections, tags, and making sure that we had the basics down first, because that built a better base to add more accessibility features on top. We also focused again on contrast checking, and there's still a lot of improvements on that, but we made sure that throughout the whole process, we considered accessibility. And of course, this was all implemented on the feedback that we got from our users as well. So with that said, I'm going to pass it on to whoever's next. Sorry, I'm just...
Next is
Yeah.
Zainab to talk through the accessibility behind the style guide.
Thanks, Nabila. As mentioned, we ran a survey, and the results of that showed us that 2/3 of deaf or blind users had problems with the layout of information and the format of text and images on recipe websites, so complete accessibility of visual elements was a huge priority for us. The style guide, which guided our responsive designs, came from the Chakra UI Figma kit, which strictly follows WAI and ARIA standards for all components. This meant that there was harmony between the code and the design, as we were using the same resource libraries. The colors that we chose for our theme pass all WCAG checks on AA as well as AAA levels. All buttons and inputs have a 44 pixel clickable area, and all typography has a minimum size of 16 pixels. So I think I'll now pass on to Omid.
Now we have Amina to talk.
And we're going to have Omid demonstrate the app and how we decided to approach the web app. So I think it just needs a few minutes just to like load it up. So just give us a second.
Yep, I can share my screen. Oh, it's someone else's, right? Yep, thanks. Okay. Can everyone see my screen and also hear me? Okay,
yep.
perfect.
Yep.
So we decided to go with a mobile first approach, which means designing your application catered to smaller screens, for example, mobiles. And on the basis of this, I think it would be most appropriate to do the demo on a mobile screen. For example, in this case, iPhone 5. So this is the homepage. On the homepage, you see a navbar at the top with Recipe Mate, the sort of logo we have, and a sign-in feature. Once a user is signed in, then they will be displayed with an account button instead to take them to the dashboard. There is a search input here. If the user wants to search for a dish, let's say, for example, pizza. Then when they search it, the results are displayed below this in these cards. If the user was to press on one of these cards, they can then see more information. Ooh, right. So this is probably a good point to talk about where is the data coming from. The data is coming from an API called Spoonacular, and you can think of Spoonacular as a sort of database holding a couple of 100,000 of recipes, which we can then use to get recipes back. Obviously, one of the limitations of this is that some of the data might not be perfect. For example, in this case, the image was probably not provided, therefore we can't see an image. But if you were to go back and choose another one, then you can see an image. But going back to the details that we have, so we have the name of the dish, the title, we have a summary of the dish, we have dietary details, we have list of ingredients, and we also have this start cooking sort of feature. So let's say we wanted to cook a dish. Let's choose a dish. So let's say we want to cook this, for example, gingerbread. So there's a couple of steps involved. And obviously the steps depend on what dish you choose. Okay, but let's say we want to cook something. So step 1 is shown to you. Then once you're done with step 1, you can move on to the next step. And then once you're done with the steps, then you get like this prompt message that you're done. And you can obviously reset and start again. And at the moment, I'm in the logged out sort of experience, so I'm not logged in. That's why you see these prompts to be able to sign in and save a recipe, and also to be able to sort of easily go back to the homepage and search for a new recipe. And I guess one thing I kind of didn't focus too much on was these 6 buttons to sort of provide the user an easy way to quickly search for a recipe they want. For example, maybe in sort of Indian cuisine dish, or a dish that's quite easy to make, as in it doesn't take that long, or a dish that's vegetarian or sweet, and so on. And if you were to look into the logged in experience, so the user will have 2 choices to register or log in. Since I'm already registered, I can just sort of, I guess, log in with one of the test IDs that would users. Once you log in, then you will have access to this profile or dashboard where you get to see the dishes that you have saved previously. You can, again, access more details on dishes, or you could delete the dishes. And yeah, I guess that would be the end of the demo. So I will now hand it over back so we can see our slides.
Yep.
Okay, it's good to go. Right, yes, so future work. So this is obviously our MVP, very basic at the moment, but there's a lot of things that we are sort of working on at the moment, as well as things to be added in the future. For example, we can add custom recipes, and this will be quite useful because at the moment we are using Spoonacular vernacular for fetching our recipe data. But this obviously means that some of the data could not be in very good state. But if we were to build our own database, so to say, of recipes, then we can make each of the steps or the instructions more easily accessible, more easily readable, more easily understandable. You can also add audio and video recordings for each of the steps to make it, again, a sort of easier experience to go through. We can add a chat feature. In fact, one of our developers, Fatma, has already made a chat feature, but we're in the process of integrating this into our React application. We can provide users the ability to add reviews. This would also work on the community sort of vision that we have, where users can see reviews that other users have left on a dish that they are interested in, and perhaps on the basis of this, connect with the user on the chat feature, and then even cook with the user at the same time, or even have like a group sort of cooking session. On a more technical perspective, instead of using Firebase for storage of data, we can use Hasura or Superbase. And one advantage that this could provide is to sort of make querying of results a bit more easier, or provide more flexibility. And with that, I will now pass it back to Amina.
Thank you, Ahmed. Obviously, we're still at the beginning stages and there's a lot to develop, but besides the tech improvements and developments, how we see RecipeMate to progress further is thinking about how the data is collected. So if you log in as someone that wants to have an account and save recipes and personalize it, how do we make sure we collect the data in a way that's meaningful? We already figured out ways to make it more secure, but if, say, for example, we gave users the option to display what type of disability they have, so that they can connect with other people who are making a recipe who also have the same disability as them, how can we do that in a way that is meaningful and fun and engaging? Because cooking can also be a communal activity, as well as something that you should have the independence to do so. So that's something to think about for future development. Also, we wanted to explore ways to add nutritional value and some of the health benefits and facts to some of the recipes we could add to the web app. This is something that can be scaled because the more recipes available, the more variety we can give our users. And of course, there's ways we can rewrite some of the recipes in a way that can break down information, also incorporate audio content, video content that users can have the option to follow along if it applies to them and want to. And I think it would also be good from a health perspective, because nutrition is something that is being spoken about a lot in the country at the moment, not just amongst the disabled community, but for the wider community as well. This is an app that isn't just limited to deaf and blind users and deafblind users. Anyone can actually use this app. And I think that would help with dealing with the loneliness and isolation that comes with not having the independence and autonomy to cook in a way that's accessible for our users. So this is something that we could implement further, and it can be useful to help educate our users about the health and their diets and how they can explore different recipes to help with that as well. And also we can team up with retail stores to provide better access to ingredients for some of our recipes. Imagine RecipeMate teaming up with Sainsbury's or Asda or Tesco to collaborate on a recipe that's unique to them, and we can educate our users on how we play around with different flavors, how you can adjust it to your taste, and how this can benefit your health. I think this will be a great way to expose our users also to different types of recipes, which can be exciting and fun. And I think RecipeMate has a really good potential for that, because at the end of the day, our way of accessing the app is very clear. You just search your recipe, you make it, you plate it, you enjoy it, and you share it with everyone else, whether it's your fellow peers who have similar disabilities to you or to everyone else. And this can forge new friendships as well and tackle the lack of independence that comes with having that barrier to cooking. And we could also branch this out to retailers or people that create equipment that can be very accessible for our users when it comes to cooking. Cooking is a very sensory experience, and there's a lot of safety concerns around it. So we could have a resource center on our site where we could give tips on how to find the best pots and pans for the dishes that you're trying to make in a way that's safe for our users who are deaf and blind. There's so many ways to branch around this. And I think given how health and nutrition is always a topic of conversation for the wider community as well, this would be a great way to engage our deaf-blind users and give them the autonomy, which helps with their independence when it comes to cooking, and also gives them the confidence. It's when we were building this and when we came up with the concept, it's not enough to just have accessibility and to just make an app for this section of the community. It's important that when we design this, we design it with dignity and ensure that our users can use the tool and use the app in a way that's meaningful for them and walk away knowing that they've made that dish with confidence and give them that boost. I think that's really important to us. And it's also important that they get to engage with all the different types of the users. So yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll pass it on to Nabila if she's got any final thoughts.
So remember, guys, search it, make it, plate it. Everyone needs a recipe mate. Thank you for listening, and we'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you, team, too, for that really great and in-depth presentation. And just for a time, I'll just pass on quickly to the judges for some comments and remarks before we move on to team 3, if that's okay.
Can I just, it's Zoe from Deafblind UK. Can I just say, I've had a message from Roger. He is on the call. He's been on the call all along, but he's struggling to take himself off mute. So could the host of the call try and unmute him that way, please?
Yeah, so I think from my side, I can only ask to unmute. I can't unmute him myself, unfortunately. But there is a button which I've just pressed, which hopefully prompts Roger to unmute. But I'm afraid I can't unmute him. I'm afraid. Right. So yeah, judges, over to you.
I'm happy to start again if that's okay. You're not making this very easy for us, believe me. That this is incredible. We did a survey with our members back in February, and we were talking with them about what their biggest issues were, what they were struggling with, and cooking was a really big part of that. And you guys have really, really understood how important it is, that independence, that self-value, that self-worth, that being able to create a meal for somebody or for yourself, how important that is to anybody. I think to be able to make a cup of tea for somebody when they need one is just such a big thing. And when we talk to our members and their carers, the carers say, "And I'd love it if you just could make a cup of tea for me," because very often they're not carers when they start out. They're husbands and wives, they're best friends, and suddenly they find themselves in this relationship where one has to do everything for the other. So this would give them that freedom. It's not just about the cookery, it's about giving them that purpose back. And I just think it's incredible. I really, really love it. You've just really understood what it is we're trying to do. I really, really enjoyed what you've told us. I love it that you've done the easy options. There are so many things that we have to consider. I know that Marks and Spencer's were really berated for producing cauliflower chopped up in a bag and charging more for it. I mean, that's where we need to be talking to retailers, because for a deaf-blind person, that's essentially, if they can buy something that's already chopped, obviously that really saves that on their safety. So I just was really, really, and the health benefits, we know that eating the right products can really help with your eyesight and your hearing. So you just seem to have thought of everything, and I can't think of anything that you didn't think of. What about you, Tim?
I agree. They didn't. They just. It was so comprehensive, and so many ideas at the end. Gosh, I thought, wow, crikey, being in that room of the brainstorming sessions are fantastic. I only wish my wife had been here to hear that, because she is a head of department at her high school, and she is a food technologist and a nutritional teacher, and she has been banging on about everything you pitched there in 20 minutes for the last 10 years. She's had 10 years to do it. You had 10 minutes. And I think you covered as much certainly as she has covered in those 10 years. She would have been very, very proud. She's always talking about the benefits, the health benefits of food, the nutritional values of food, the sharing aspect, the community aspect of food, and how it is an essential part of our lives. And there's so much you can do with it, aren't there? You have the tiles with the different cuisines. Of course, you could have the tiles with the different types of food, vegan food, vegetarian foods. And it's endless, really. What
Let's get some chefs involved as well. That's what I was thinking.
Well, it's a great...
So, you know, there's so many things that it could lead to.
It's a great fundraising opportunity there, Shirley, isn't it? With others, I think. You know what I really liked about it? I really liked about the two central pillars of simplicity you had there. You know, you had on one hand the real understanding of inclusive design. So design is all about building from the bottom up. Accessible design. It's fully inclusive for all from the very beginning. So you build it into the DNA architecture of your product from the very start. It's not an afterthought. You put it beautifully, better than me, actually. You said it's very much part of that design process, and that very much is what good inclusive accessible design is all about. Nothing's an add-on. It's not something that sits here in the corner and we go, well, you know, we'll add it on at the end. It's something that is a core component of the product, and that flips right around beautifully what you were saying at the end. Therefore, that makes it for everybody. It doesn't just make it for the dual sensory impaired. You know, it makes it for anybody and everybody who wants to enjoy cooking, and that's really important, because everybody can take part in the activity. So that was one pillar. And of course, the other pillar was you went and did your research. You went to the groups and you found out about what they wanted. And you said 2/3 of deafblind people were saying that some of these sites were inaccessible or what they're finding out. That's news on me. I never knew that. I never knew that. And that was really interesting, you know, and you went out and you found, goodness knows how you got that information over such a short amount of time and managed to run those focus groups so quickly. And that was really, really good. So you built in some core principles into the start of your design. And I think that was really, really showed through, actually, because I think that drove your ideas and it gave your ideas wings, because it just gave it a natural energy, I think. So I really like that. I don't know whether I spotted whether there was any opportunity within the app to change potential accessibility settings, maybe, you know, lower contrast, high contrast text sizes, that type of stuff. Not sure whether that was there, but I did like the simple interface of the design with the search bar in the middle, very nice, with the signing at the top, and the clear, easy to use tiles at the bottom. And you threw a lot of technical stuff in there, which I had to write down furiously, and I can't say I remembered it all. I was going to actually quiz Shirley at the end on that.
Thanks, Tim.
I could go on. I mean, that's probably for another conversation, but there's certain things I certainly learned there in terms of your development process and the development tools that you were using and how you were thinking about how you could develop that in as you work through, not, you know, as you work through future developments of the app. I'm trying to sound clever here because I'm looking at my notes, writing down what you said.
I completely agree, Tim.
You did a great job.
The principles that they've used in the design, especially when you mentioned the design framework that you guys have chosen and the colors, and generally the approach that you've taken is ground up accessibility rather than coming in with an afterthought, as Tim mentioned, is very, very good. I love the website. I think it's great. I think the fact that you guys have built that again is amazing within a weekend. These things take teams months to build. So that's another amazing thing. And I thought that the team has put in a lot of great effort in. A couple of points of feedback from me. I think the pitch was very long. I kind of lost the idea. There's a lot of moving parts. So I'd say future pitches try to maybe focus it on, what is your idea specifically and what are you solving? You mentioned a lot of good things at the end, actually, which was, for example, audio being able to play the recipe in audio is actually, I think that's a game changer. There's a lot of articles these days where you can like listen to the article instead, and it's new to the web. If that could actually be quite a leading feature in my opinion, and that would be definitely something that I would probably say would differentiate your product from everything else. If you could listen to recipes and had those kind of enablers, it would really, I think, take it to the next level.
Thank you so much for the feedback. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Is Roger still not able to join us? No.
Sure he is. Don't know whether James wants to contribute, perhaps. As
James has had to leave, unfortunately.
Okay, James is gone.
Yeah.
Poor old Roger. If we could tell maybe Alt and A on the keyboard for Roger, if we can feed that in the chat for him, that might unmute his. Just put that in there for him. Roger to unmute.
For somebody who spends most evenings saying, what on earth am I going to cook for my family? I love this as well. So I think it would be great.
I'm not going to show it to my wife because she'll have me in the kitchen now for the rest of the week, I think. That's the problem. So many ideas. Very good.
Great. Thank you very much, Tim, too. I think just for the interest of time, we do have to move on, unfortunately, but amazing teamwork and great idea. And thank you, judges, once again for your comments and remarks. So yeah, I will now hopefully pass it on to Team 3. You're certainly not the last, I mean, of course you're the last one, but not the least one, of course. So yes, over to you, Team 3.
Wow, all I'm going to say is that was like awesome presentation. So I sort of agree with the organizers and the sponsors on this. So thank you for showing those great ideas as well. So I am a part of Team 3, and we actually worked on problem statement 3, and we developed an app called Access My City. And it's very simple to use. And what we were thinking along the lines of what's accessible. So I'm just going to quickly introduce you to the team. Like I said, my name is Sanjeed. I was project manager on this team. We've got 2 developers, Yusuf and Hasnat, and 2 designers, 5 of us really. And we actually had a lot of fun building this. And we really gelled. And although we had 2 days, we worked really hard. So I'm just going to go straight into the introduction. So the presentation is just going to go through problem statement, team solution, design, demo, and we want to leave more time for questions and answers, really. We want a bit more interaction. Thank you. So our vision and values were, we want to empower people with sight and hearing loss to go about their daily business and be independent and confident and have control over their lives. And we wanted to give people with sensory loss access to their city and the community. And the problem statement we were working on was that, as we know, majority of people with sensory loss, those that care for them do not actually know where places and activities are accessible, and there's no list. It's very hard to find, and yet we also know that there are actually lots of businesses and also design architects who are very mindful that spaces should be accessible, should be close to facilities that allow those with disability to actually go to a venue. And for us, what was important was to list those places and spaces. So we built an app that listed accessible venues in the city. It was designed to be simple to use, accessible for partially sighted and blind users. And it was, it's your yellow pages on your smartphone. So I'm going to pass over to the design team. And
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, hi, I'm Shah. I'm one of 2 designers, and as part of the user research, we drew up a user persona to kind of understand and emphasize potential pain points that users who are partially deaf or blind might kind of encounter. And as you can see, we've made up one for Fatima Khan, who's a 25-year-old student. She's very tech savvy, so she understands the accessibility features within apps and how to use it on her smartphone. But her actual frustration is that she wants to be able to access her community and be able to go out and socialize without having to kind of be relying on her family and friends. And generally her frustrations and needs are that she needs that kind of access to information. So there's a bit of a kind of information gap when it comes to information about accessibility in kind of venues around her city. So hence why we so I'll pass you on to Samaya, who will go through kind of the user journey, which we then worked on as part of our UX process.
So once we identified who our user was, we did some market research according to what's actually out there at the moment. And what we decided is, when we wanted to keep the screens very simple and build a user interface with very minimal steps. And that's when we spoke to the deafblind community. We asked a lot of questions to Zoe and we got very useful feedback. Some take-home points were the fact that we left out a login screen in the initial stages, so that kind of doesn't deter the user away from getting what they want, which was just the accessibility of a venue. So I'll quickly go over the user journey. So a user opens their app and they use VoiceOver to open it, and then it prompts the user to enter in their postcode, and then that will direct them to the homepage. So the homepage will include a search feature and some buttons as well, such as places and activities for them to have a browse through. For example, if they are interested in a certain place, they can click on the place button and that will direct them to a page with categories of different places, such as banks or restaurants or pharmacies, and then they can pick on, for example, if they're interested in a certain just pharmacies, they can click on that button and then that will list them all the different pharmacies close to them with good accessibility near their area. If they want to find some more information about a specific pharmacy, that's when they can click on a specific pharmacy and it will give you all the information in terms of accessibility of a venue and 2 call to action buttons, which will be to either contact the venue if they need further information or open the maps up to get directions. So as a team, we went through we kind of took in information from interviews and research to get to our endpoint. Yeah, so that's when we decided to create low fidelity wireframes just to focus on how the user moves from the onboarding screens to the final screens. And this is when we kind of took in accessibility in terms of ensuring that there's not too many screens in the middle. So we kind of ruled out horizontal scrolling, for example, because we just realized with VoiceOver, it might be quite easy to miss out key information. And it can kind of hide the key information that they need. So, and also reducing a lot of clutter with text, we're keeping it quite simple, such as the cards that we're using are much bigger than the suggested human interface guidelines. So that was quite important for us as well. So overall, our goal was to just make the journey less, just simple, basically, less clicks and less screens.
Yeah, so the final interfaces we designed can be seen on this slide. This is 3 of many of the final interfaces. The first one, which is on the far left, is the location services kind of feature, which allows the user to skip any kind of registration or sign up, skip any like registration or sign up and go straight to kind of using the app, which follows onto the main landing page, which is in the middle. And that has 2 kind of features, which is you can either search for a specific place or choose a category, which will then push you to the next screen that will allow you to find more specific categories to then lead you onto the final screen, which is on the far right, which is the final kind of location that you've decided to pick to choose, and that will have a title. So in this case, boots, the category, which is a pharmacy, the distance, a small photo, and most importantly, the accessibility information and the address, followed by two CTAs, which are the buttons at the bottom, which one allows you to show the kind of directions within Google Maps, and the second one allows you to call the venue for kind of further information. And yeah, in terms of accessibility, things we've kind of considered are the size of buttons. So in line with W3C, we've made sure that they're minimum 44 pixels. Many of our buttons, as you can see, are a lot bigger than that. The typeface, we've used San Francisco Pro, which is just a clean and easy to read typeface. And in line with Apple's human interface guidelines, we've ensured that they're a minimum size of 14. And as you can see, our minimum size is 16. So we don't have any kind of fonts any smaller. And if the user wanted to kind of make them jumbo size, they can do so within Apple's iOS settings. And lastly, the colors. We understood that there are people who suffer from color vision deficiency, which essentially color blindness, which means that certain colors such as green and red are not suitable for them, and other colors, for instance, orange and blue, which is our color palette, would be just much better suited and less problematic for their color vision deficiency. Yeah, so those are our final interfaces. I'll now pass you on to Yusuf, who will kind of show you through the demonstration.
Hello, assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you're all doing well. So I'm going to be showing a demo of the app that we've built. So yeah, I'm just going to open up the video now so we can all see, if it lets me. So I do just want to do a test to make sure that the video can be heard. So I'm just going to play it initially. If Al-Amin maybe could just let me know that it's working, then I can leave it to run for the demo. Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is the demo for the Access My City app. So I'm going to be using it with the voiceover on. So I just want to confirm, is that running correctly?
Yes, I can hear it.
Perfect, cool. I'll let it run for the duration of the demo, then I'll come back. Thank you very much. To demonstrate.
People icon, image, your guide to accessible places. Get started, button, get started.
So this is where the user is either able to enter their postcode or get their current location. Getting the current location of the device is currently not supported. That is something that we plan to do in the future.
Find the best places. Location pin icon. Enter postcode. Postcode E147Pi. Text postcode. Text cap L. Cap L. O. N. N. D. D. O. N. N. Submit postcode. Navigates to the screen where you can choose a category. Submit postcode. Activate London. Piccadilly Circus.
So for the sake of the demo, we're not using a particular postcode, but we've hard-coded London Piccadilly Circus. So we've got a set of data that we can demonstrate today. In the future, you'll also be able to search for a particular place. So if you don't want to find a place by either a particular place or activity, as you can see in the options, you do have the ability, well, you will have the ability in the future to search for a specific place. We'd then send that to the Google Maps API and see whether any user has actually submitted any accessibility information for the place that you're looking for. For now, I'm going to go over and head over to the places category.
Choose a category. Places. Places.
And then I'm going to pick pharmacy.
Pharmacy. Pharmacy. Progress bar. Rowlands Pharmacy 1.73 miles away. Rowlands Pharmacy Rowlands Pharmacy.
So the pharmacies that we've just seen are kind of mock places that we've pretended that somebody's come in and entered accessibility information for. So for example, for Roland's Pharmacy, we're saying that somebody's come in and entered into our app that the place has the following accessibility features.
Disabled chair access, disabled parking, good lighting, induction loop.
So there is no backend for the app just yet. That would be something that we'd do in the future. So ideally, a user should be able to come in and find a place that they visited, just like this pharmacy, and enter specific information for whether or not it's accessible. We'd then pull in this data from the backend. And if a user was in close range of Roland's Pharmacy, we would be able to note that this place is accessible, and users have sent in little reports to say that they've been there and they found accessible features such as the ones that are listed. So I'll just go through the screen for the voiceover.
Rowland's Pharmacy. Pharmacy. 1.73 miles. Pharmacy shelves stocked with pharmaceutical products. Address. 16 Exmouth Market. London EC1R. 4QE. UK.
And lastly, we can also open the location in maps should the user want to find directions once they're happy with the chosen location that they want to go to.
Open location in maps. But alert. Open location in maps. Would you like to open Rowland's Pharmacy in the Maps app? Yes. Button. Maps. Pentonville.
And for this demonstration, that concludes the user journey. Thank you very much.
21.
Okay, so that was the little demo of the app. I'm now going to talk a little bit about the tech stack used. So we did use React Native. This is a framework to build apps for both iOS and Android from one code base. This means that in terms of readiness for launch, we've already got like a base to launch on both platforms. The reason we went for React Native was really for the features of the accessibility that it offers. So the React Native platform makes it really easy to specify information about accessibility for all the elements. So as you will have seen in the demo, everything was read out quite clearly by the screen reader, and that is really because of React Native. So any images, we were able to add alt text. For any buttons, we were able to describe what it is and what's actually going to happen before the user commits to the action. So we were able to ensure the user would be confident about the move they'd make in the app. We also used a component library called React Native Paper. Again, this was built by a set of developers who kept accessibility in mind, which also made the whole app accessible. So yeah, that's everything from me. I'll now hand it over to Hassanat, who is also one of the other developers, and he will talk a little bit about scalability and the roadmap that we followed to build the app.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. So just to talk about the scalability, I believe there's a huge scope for scalability within the app and a lot of future work to be done. So therefore, we've laid out a roadmap moving forward. With our MVP phase 1, our main focus was getting that data from Google Maps API and be able to access data for venues such as their contact details and the address. However, we soon realized that the data for accessibility features for each venue is very limited. So we have to find a solution around this. So with phase 2, this is our current main focus. Which is to gather data regarding the accessibility for each of the venues. And our main idea for this going forward will be through user input. So the users of the app will be able to input this information using a form, and they can input what kind of accessibility features their favorite locations or their frequently visited locations have. This can also be the businesses themselves. So the business themselves can come in and put in the accessibility features that they have on their premises. And the motivation for businesses would be that they can advertise their business on our platform and also a gesture of goodwill. So for this, we required a backend. However, we simply did not have the time to build that within the short period of time. So we have a plan for phase 3, which will be our future features. The first one is, of course, be able to gather this input data through using a backend For this, we will be using Supabase as our service going forward. We also want to be able to search for places by name. This is something that Yusuf mentioned earlier. We want to be able to search for places by their name as well, not only by their category. We also want to be able to filter places by their accessibility feature. So certain accessibility features may be more important to a particular user, such as a taxi drop-off point. We also plan on allowing the user to share each venue or a particular venue with their contacts. So if there's a family or a friend who requires a particular venue, the user will be able to do that. So this is our current plan going forward. And that concludes it from us, the engineering side. And thank you for listening. And we're open to taking any questions that you guys may have.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Team 3. And again, really inspirational and amazing idea and great work. So I think we do have Roger with us now. So hopefully.
You do indeed.
Yes, great. So why don't we start with you? So over to you, Roger. Just for
I've loved it. I'm so frustrated. I've never been not able to talk for so long. It's awful. But I've really enjoyed all three. And how the heck we pick, I just do not know. I'll just give my first thoughts on the three. I love the imagination and the throwing open to group and interactivity with food. I think that's fantastic. And of course, I love the first one, that this business of making contact, making friends, keeping in touch. That's the heart of the deaf-blind disability. So the concept of that is going to take some beating. So in other words, like all of you, I'm finding it hard to choose.
Thank you very much. And do you have any comments for this team 3?
It's sorry, I meant to come on to that, but I wanted to do the first things first. Yeah, okay. It's thorough. It's kind of perfect. It's what's wanted for getting around, finding what's accessible, meeting up in place. A big difficulty for us is getting to places. It's big, it's huge. It could be very, very useful to our community.
Can I just quickly add, we actually had you in mind, Roger, when we were building this. So yeah, I'm really glad you liked it, and I hope everyone else did. But we really focused on the user. That was really our primary focus from brainstorming and at from design to development. We really thought, what would it be like to be in your shoe? And how would we do this to make it scalable? And to be honest, it's not just for the deaf and blind. We were also thinking it could be used by anyone. And we were so surprised it's not been done before this, because it's really needed. And that's what we were thinking when we were from plan to finish.
I think it's good to hear right from the start. It's good to hear that voiceover was working. And there was a minimal journey to get to the information that we want. It's kind of, but I felt perfectly executed.
I think from the point of view from some of the young people that I've been speaking with recently, the thing that they struggle with most is they can't be spontaneous. And I think this app allows them to do that. They're able to make their own way. They don't have to plan ahead, 4 days in advance. They can work out where they need to be. If they want to go somewhere at the moment, they rely on passenger assist, and you have to book that 24 or 48 hours in advance to be able to go somewhere. So with this app, it gives them a bit more freedom. If a group of their friends are saying, hey, let's all go to the beach now, they can do that. They can meet their friends at the beach, and this will allow them to make that journey and to have that independence. So that's what I really love about it, because it's about empowering people and making sure that they have the ability that sighted hearing people have. I love the cleanliness of it. It was really simple. I really, really liked it. I know I keep saying that. Tim, what was your thought?
Oh, it's so hard. It's too difficult. It's too difficult. Another great pitch and another great app. Yeah. Oh, there you guys. You haven't made our lives easy at all. I mean, I totally agree with Roger and Shirley. What I love about all three pitches is how much they've thought about the community that they're designing for, and not just the deafblind community, but the community, the complete community, the whole community, and how everybody can, through the app, be a part of that community, because each of these services connects people in different ways. And I love that. And once again, you did a great job of explaining that, and it was so thought through. I mean, gosh, if we don't know now WC3A standards, I mean, we've had that throughout all of the pitches of the website accessibility designs and how much we adhere to these standards. And I just think that's fantastic that that's real detail. And I really like that. There's no log on to this, is there? You just sort of, you search, for your places at the moment, or what did I write down? Once again, I'm trying to be clever because you give me so much information, places and activities.
It's like your Uber app, isn't it? It's Uber app for your community and everyone. Yeah. That's the idea behind it. Just simple, easy to use. And it's not just for the deaf and blind community. It can actually be really used for elderly as well, because we consider mobility to be those sensory. But there are neurodiverse people, elderly, or someone who just wants to help their friend. We want that sort of access to the city kind of thing.
And I think you've really captured that in your design as well, because you've kept it clean, and you've kept it fresh, and because it looks fresh. I mean, we've seen quite a lot of these type of apps, but it still looks quite different to some of the other apps we see, and very, very clean. And I think you should really be commended for that. Sorry, Shirley.
Will the app just be for cities, or will it be for kind of everywhere? Will I be able to access it in my town?
You should be. So we were thinking
because we're currently using the Google Maps API. So in Google Maps, you can access any location. So whilst we're branding it for cities, you can, of course, access information wherever you are in the world. So the idea would be in the future, as more users use the app and find accessible locations, they'd be able to input that data, and no matter where you are, that information will pop up. So even if you're not in a city, it should work in the future as well.
I mean, you guys have built that into scalability at the end, and obviously the back-end database, which is going to hold that very important information about the accessibilities of the venues that you're visiting, whatever they may be. It could be anything, can't it? Parks, pubs, restaurants, whatever. That's going to take a bit of time to build up, will it? Do you think?
So the solution we were thinking was to use a backend as a service. Now, that sounds a bit complex. So what it basically means is some really clever developers have already built out a lot of the backend infrastructure. That means as a developer who's built out like how the app looks, I only need to do a few more little things to get this backend running and working. That means that I could actually have data entered into the backend very quickly. And honestly, if we had maybe one more day, we could have even had a small demo of that. So actually nowadays, with technology being so great, there's lots of tools that we can use, such as Superbase, which is the technology I mentioned earlier, or Hassan mentioned earlier, that we'd probably use. So actually it wouldn't take as long as you may think.
So I think what Yusuf just mentioned was more on the tech side of things, but I think you may be referring to the actual data regarding the accessibility features.
I'm thinking about the advertisement of the businesses saying I'm accessible, this is what type of accessibility I offer. That information might not be too readily available at first.
So right now, this is one of the main problems that we run into, that there's not much information available, not only on Google or Google Maps, like different websites. They just don't have this information, and this is a huge problem that will take time, to overcome. And to start off, we can reach out to businesses and gather some information. However, that's not it's not a good long-term strategy. Therefore, our user input data is where it comes in. So yes, it will take time to build that data, but that's simply because this data is not currently available.
Can I make a small important point? The difficulty people like us have when we're out and about is with the on-screen keyboard. So when you're choosing the tools for the trade, could you choose a keyboard which is particularly clear to use, probably occupies a bit more of the screen than usual, and secondly, could you make sure that the dictation button is included?
Yes, so absolutely. With the OS, you can either use the built-in keyboard. So it's whatever keyboard that you're currently using in the on your particular device. So whether that's iPhone, I think gives you a few different options. So if you are using a keyboard that's slightly bigger or different, that will also translate into the app.
Thank you. I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, I think what I really like about it as well is it will hold people to account. People will want to be on it, and it will really elevate disability accessibility across the UK. And I think that that's what I really love about it. It's not going to police things, but it's going to make people want to be better. And that's what we need.
Yeah. And I think, you know, and I think I think very much, Shirley, and I think with this app has the potential potentially to work with others out there who might be doing similar things or in a slightly different way, where you might be able to link in. There is a it comes to mind, I don't know if Roger knows of this one, Ewan's Guide. Ewan's Guide. So Ewan's Guide is about, if you go onto the website Ewan's Guide, it's very, very similar to this. You know, people will post their experiences of accessibility to types of venues or events or places that they've been to, and it also promotes business owners to put their venues on there as well, and it's a way of bringing those two together. And I wonder whether there's a pool of information there that you could tap into. I know slightly different, but Gavin Neat with the Welcome app. I don't know if you guys have come across the Welcome app before, made by Neatbox. But what the Welcome app does is it encourages businesses to advertise their types of the accessibility access that they're offering, and it basically links in. You can either log on as a user or you can log on as a business or as an organization. But what you can do is, as a user, if you are visiting a business and that business is registered on the app, then you can essentially inform the app that you're going to be visiting that business, and you can make them aware of what your accessibility needs are. And I just wonder again whether there's something that you could hook in with there. So I think there's certainly potential there, I think.
I think just to add, Tim, when we were doing our research, what we found is a lot of apps similar to ours are for able-bodied, like us. It's really easy interface. But for those that actually need it, there's so many options. So we were actually sort of reverse engineering. What would the experience be for a person with this sensory loss, and how can we make the journey simple? Because there's just so much potential to add more and more features. And we were also thinking that imagine you were traveling from another country to here. What you can do is literally go on your app, download it, no login, and just go, I want to know, this is where I am, where are all the facilities? And that would be the final kind of the greatest version of this app, from now and to that ideal place. There's just so much room for development. And that would be sort of where we could develop this app. So yeah. I hope that gives you that idea. So we're more, it's actually quite an exciting thing to do. There's just so much potential. And also another thing I just want to add, we didn't have much, we were basing a lot of things on assumptions, so we had to go for kind of, what can we demo in 2 days? and show the potential.
Yeah.
So we sort of skipped a lot of, we cheated, but it was worth it. So, yeah.
Can I just ask to everybody? Did you work through the night on these on all your projects? Was it sort of from
We had some
from 6 o'clock on Friday to now?
1:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Is it really a
amazing.
hackathon if we're not doing all-nighters? Like, come on.
Yeah, we had very long days of work, especially with our team. We only had 2 engineers, so from our side, it was a lot of work and a lot of long days.
Amazing. Yeah, I was getting notifications from our central Deen developers GitHub pretty much every minute of the day, today and yesterday, and I was like, wow, these teams are going flat out. Amazing.
Well, I think you've all done an amazing job. I really do. I'm absolutely, what's the word? Balled over.
Can I just put an apology in for mentioning the other teams first? It's just that I wasn't able to talk for the first part of the evening. Okay.
No, thank you, Roger. Thank you,
Roger.
very useful. I'll just add a few things to this team. I think, I mean, there's not much I can add to what the other judges have mentioned. Amazing work. I'm actually shocked that Google Maps doesn't support this kind of stuff. I mean, Google Maps is probably the holy grail of geographical information about any place. So the fact that you guys have worked your way from the Google Maps API, I think is a very good engineering design kind of decision. And I think just off the back of what Tim was saying before, of gathering this data, I think crowdsourcing this data could be a very good approach. So, Google Maps basically runs off crowdsourcing. So you find out what the menu is at a restaurant, or you find out how busy it is. So these kinds of things, if you can crowdsource it, I can see this, taking off very, very quickly. And going back to, I think, the innovation day that we had last week in Hackathon, where we were talking about, companies being penalized for not having this information available. I can very quickly see this kind of app becoming a motivator or a catalyst for Google Maps to introduce it anyway as a feature. So if you can catalyze that change and make that impact, that is just amazing. So yeah, hats to you guys, amazing job, and yeah, well done.
You should have seen our 20-page slide. This is what we got. We were thinking of a pitch. So we really did think of everything. So, but we thought, you know what? We need to nail this. So we reduced it from 20 to, I think, something like 6 or 8 slides. So we did put in a lot of thought. But I will also say we all, every team really had the user in mind. So it was a really exciting challenge, and it was worth it.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Team 3. Honestly, amazing work. I think I feel very inspired and very honored to be in the presence of such great people here who have sacrificed the weekends and their nights to build such amazing products. Hopefully, that will impact many people positively in the future. We all hope.
Fantastic.
So now, yes, sorry, Roger. Yep.
Fantastic.
Brilliant. So yes, I think we're coming to the point now. The judges do have to make the very tough decision. So I'll just explain quickly what we will do for in the next few minutes. So thank you once again, all the teams. The judges will in the next few minutes group together in one of the breaker rooms. We'll put them in one of the group breaker rooms to kind of discuss amongst themselves, to talk through the different ideas and hopefully pick a winner. I know it's a very tough decision to make considering all the brilliant ideas and pitches, but unfortunately as hackathons go, we do have to pick a winner. So yes, I will, if it's okay, I will start assigning the judges to the breaker room. And in the meantime, what we will do, because we have some people watching on the live stream, we will open it up to the public, hopefully to take some questions for the teams. And if we don't have many questions, then we can hopefully speak amongst ourselves and ask each other questions. But yes, so I will shortly put people in the judges in the breaker room. So just give me 1 second, just bear with me. There we go. Yeah, can you, I think you should receive that prompt now to join the breakout room. So see you judges in about 10 minutes.
Do I have to?
Yes, Roger, do you have a prompt? Can you, is there a prompt that you can hear? Okay, there, I think you, there we go. Brilliant. Cool. How are you guys all doing? I think it's just us now. How do you guys find the pitching?
Yeah, I think it was great, and I really liked the ideas pitched by the other teams. Like they were really good.
Definitely,
yeah, everyone did such a good job.
I think it's just amazing to see what's come out in such a short time. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, I think definitely the spirit of the hackathons that kind of we see in all of our hackathons, we have definitely seen in this one. And honestly, although we have a small cohort this time, really, I think it's a quite talented one. And yeah, I mean, your work and your sacrifice shows that. So we just hope, of course, Allah rewards you for all the good work that you have put in, and hopefully your work's able to benefit many people in the future.
I mean, and I think also just all the ideas, like it's not just side project fun, like this is actually impacting people's lives. The kind of users we're all targeting in all our work, it's just, this is actually impacting lives. Like this is stuff that people need, a whole section of a community that's just shut out and overlooked in so many different situations. It's just been really nice to watch everyone else's ideas and their thought process. Like, I think we should all be proud of ourselves. Like, this is actually real, like it's helping, so it can actually do so much for people. It's not just like, oh, there's so many ideas out there. Like, no, we've had to consider so many different ways of how a group of people interact with the world around them. So I think we should all be proud of ourselves, and inshallah, like, may Allah reward everyone as well, because this is important stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah, I've learned a lot throughout the whole hackathon, and even when the teams are pitching, I've learned quite a bit as well, stuff that we haven't considered maybe, but the other teams have. So yeah, I think something to take home. And also because I was in the design side, there's a lot of aspects that I don't know if I can take for my future designs as well, and continue to use.
Yeah, I echo what Samia said, and from an engineering point of view, that was the first time I really properly considered accessibility. Whilst I knew, to make sure that maps are accessible, it was the first time I actually turned on VoiceOver on my phone and just saw what the code me and Hassan have written actually translates to. So now I'm thinking back to future apps I've built where I've not added an alt tag or described what a button's doing, and it's just going to say something like unpronounceable, which is what we saw in testing. And it's a shame that that happens, and that's where people haven't been considered in the Deafblind community, and it's definitely something I've learned to consider moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that. Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like although I didn't quite participate in building anything, I did feel like I benefited quite a lot from you guys and from your solutions and your presentations today, just in terms of like best practices and actually what's out there. Like Chakra, was it Chakra UI? Was it? That seems like a quite useful set of libraries. Although I'm not a developer of any sorts, is something really worth knowing. In case there's a conversation that I happen to have in the future where accessibility is the topic. So yeah, great. Thanks for sharing all the resources with everyone, and it's been great from my side. So jazakallah khair from me. Cool. So I think the judges are probably finding it very hard to pick a winner. But yeah, like, with hackathons, although we are picking a winner, I guess we're all in a way winners, right? We're all doing this fi sabilillah, for the sake of Allah, hopefully. So inshallah, we'll all be winners one day, inshallah. So yeah, don't feel like you haven't contributed enough, in case your team, of course, doesn't make first place. We're all here for reasons greater than placing first, you know. And of course, you know, within developers, we do things more than just just hackathons. I guess you'll hear shortly as we hopefully conclude the night. But yeah, this opportunity, if you are kind of in a position now where you're trying to, where you're maybe looking for a new job or a new career, definitely hackathons help kind of kickstart that journey for you. So inshallah, please, you know, don't feel like you have not contributed enough, because you have, and of course, it's really appreciated by us all here at Deen Developers. And I know that Ibrahim's not here, but he is watching from Pakistan. I just saw that you guys know he's watching the live stream, and he's extremely proud of the hard work and of the progress that you have all done. So yeah, he is watching us.
Yeah, I think just to echo some of the points that Alameen made, like, and also some of the points that Amina made, like the kind of work that you've done kind of encapsulates the kind of meaning behind Deen Developers. We're a collective of techies, professionals wanting to work together to kind of make societal change. And when we're running these hackathons, this is how we do it. We work together, whether it be over the span of a day, 2 days, 2 weeks, or whatever. We're trying to make a difference. So hackathons like this is honestly really inspirational for us as a team. It motivates us, and also for you guys kind of taking part. Like, you guys have flexed your skills, you've learned new engineering skills, design skills, product skills, pitching skills, like the list goes on. So yeah, it's honestly been amazing kind of seeing you guys develop these ideas. So yeah, from I think Alameen will mention it, but from the Deen Developers team, we're very, very impressed and honestly honored to kind of host this event for you guys. So it's all well deserved, honestly.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Omar, for those words, definitely. And there was one more thing I wanted to say, actually forgot it now. But yeah, nonetheless, oh yes, so yeah, we really encourage you guys to continue on working in your teams on the idea, if possible. That is, highly encouraged, and of course we're here to support that in whatever shape and form. If you guys need kind of, for example, hosting, things like that, do let us know. We can definitely help provide that. And of course, if you want to continue the conversation with Deafblind UK, we're happy to facilitate that, so that you guys can carry on with the roadmaps that you have all kind of planned out and showed us today. Definitely, I think the next step would be to get Deafblind UK involved, maybe some of the community members there to get their feedback. Of course, we had Roger today, really great feedback and amazing person to hear from. So yes, we're happy to kind of work in that, in that involvement, to help you guys in terms of facilitating and progressing things further. And of course, I've mentioned one of the products that actually came out of our, I believe, third hackathon that we've run, the COVID one, which was Solar Space, and it went on to kind of have this great impact, right, in London, and maybe perhaps the wider UK. Over 100,000, over 130,000 bookings were made during COVID. So imagine the impact that you can have with a small idea. So don't belittle any of the hard work that you have done or any of your products, because the impact obviously can be had. So inshallah, do let us know if you do want to continue on, and let us know the support that you require. We're more than happy to provide that.
Yeah, for me personally, it was a big learning curve, because prior to this, I've never had any projects with React Native. So being thrown in the deep end because of users bias towards React Native, I think it was a big learning curve, and I probably wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for this hackathon.
So I think that was a huge learning curve for me. And thank you for Deen Developers for hosting this and allowing me on the platform. It was very well.
I did forget we have Zoe here as well. So please, do you have anything you want to say to the team, Zoe?
Tonight has just absolutely blown me away. And up until Friday, I was really miffed that I'd not put myself on the judging panel. And now I'm really pleased that I've not got that responsibility of having to choose. Over the weekend, when I saw what you guys were working on, I was blown away then. So tonight it's amazing. And it's so lovely to hear that the things that you'll take away as little learns for yourselves as well. That's great. So thank you so much for all your time and effort that you've put into it.
Thank you very much, Zoe, and thanks for the support, throughout planning the hackathon. You've been really helpful with, getting resources and just planning out kind of the hackathon. So from myself and the team at Deen Developers, we'd like to extend gratitude and thank you to you, Zoe, and your team.
No, thank you guys too. It's been amazing. What a great journey, because it's taken us months, hasn't it, to get to this point?
Yeah.
And it's been amazing.
Yeah, it's been worth it in the end, definitely. It's been worth it. Right, so I think the judges still deciding. I'll just check if we have any questions online. Just give me a second. Nope, nothing. Yeah, nothing online for the time being.
Does anyone have any questions for the other team, like in terms of their approach, things like that? Because I was making sure to kind of snoop into each channel, and it was amazing to see everyone kind of praising each team and things like that. So
I was totally jealous of the presentations. I was just like, oh my God, one presentation, that's good. And then the second one, I'm going, oh my goodness, this is so good. I think it's amazing that we worked so well together in all of the teams. And actually and it's really nice that the teams wanted to help each other as well. I think that's what I got out of it. But yeah, this is my second hackathon. It's so different. And I'm so amazed that we were able to do this in 2 days, genuinely. It's amazing what everyone's done. And actually I had more fun than I thought, which was kind of good, actually. It's always good to have fun.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with the hackathons, I guess, it's weird because you're working, you're kind of under stress over 2 days or however long they are, but you still kind of have fun, in the end. So it's really interesting, I think, the dynamic with hackathons. And yeah, I mean, we try to obviously make it as engaging as possible in terms of delivering different talks. But yeah, we do hope, inshallah, in the future we can have more engaging ones as well, maybe in person, perhaps. I know, like, maybe things are changing now, although maybe not for the best, but I think an in-person hackathon would be really great. We've had 2 before, like our first 2 hackathons were in person. And I think it's really amazing because you get to, network, because at the moment, I don't know, I can't see really much intra-team kind of networking, but, with other hackathons, you get to meet hackathons which are in person, you get to meet other, the teams and, speak to them and so on, which is really good. So inshallah, do make dua that we can resume our in-person hackathons, although we don't know how things are going to be in the next few months now with the new variant. But that is definitely our plan.
I think what would have been really awesome is to have more access to, Zoe, and because that feedback would have it really helps, that knowledge to build something, even without the information we were able to build. But that feedback would have just put everyone on a different level, I think, that information. So Zoe, we really appreciate your input. It was awesome, and making time for us, really. I hope you know that.
You're very welcome. It was so interesting. I'm glad I could help. Didn't think I could ever help with anything like that. But
Brilliant. Cool. So just gonna nudge the judges, see if they're still with us or if they're still struggling to come to a decision.
It could be another all-nighter.
Yeah.
We could all be winners, Zoe. Just saying. You could go in there and just tell them, just let them all win.
Yeah.
I second that.
Nabila, I like you.
I'm feeling nervous. Imagine I'm not I'm not any part of any teams, but I'm feeling a bit nervous about the decision now.
Yeah, I'm on edge. I'm shaking. I want to know what's going on.
I've got a question for Deen developers actually. Is there any future plans for other hackathons? Is there anything in the pipelines that we're allowed to know about at this point?
Yeah, so we have the plan is with hackathons to run like 3 hackathons a year. And yeah, we've had quite 2 this year, I believe, or maybe 3. And yeah, so we are speaking to some organizations. Might give you a sneak peek now, but I think the next one maybe with refugees, like the topic kind of helping refugees and stuff. We're speaking to a few charities now, just kind of fleshing out in terms of the problem statements and kind of course like setting a date. But yeah, at the moment we're planning it. Hopefully, in the first quarter of next year we'll have a hackathon. But yeah, still in the plans. Nothing kind of official yet. Although I guess it's live stream now, so everyone knows. But I think I may have given out too much information there. But yeah, inshallah, make dua for us that we can hopefully have another amazing hackathon.
That sounds really good, and like the refugee thing is a really timely issue as well. That sounds like, inshallah, it goes ahead. I'd love to join that one as well.
Yeah, inshallah. And other than that, of course, we have other events that we will be running that we're still kind of planning at the moment. There should be hopefully a Women's in Tech event sometime next year. At the end of the month, we wish to also have like an end of year review type of event, which we also ran last year and was really successful. So just to kind of wrap up the year and also remind our attendees and those who support us in terms of the work that we have achieved, the achievements that we've had this year, thanks to you guys. So that will probably be announced quite shortly as well. So do kind of keep an eye out for that. And of course, we have the Slack channel, which hopefully should start picking up soon. Yeah. So of course, do engage with us on Slack. It's a thriving community of over 800 members now. So inshallah, that's also a space to explore. Cool. So I don't know who's in the waiting room. Okay, so I think the judges will be probably 2 minutes. Let me just check if they're ready.
I've just got a question about Deen developers. Like, can we join? Like, do you need volunteers to help run the hackathons as well?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we have all these initiatives, and if you do want to kind of give back to our community and get involved in the community, the way to join is so if you go on our website, there's a sign up form which you can fill up with your details, and we'll kind of get back to you in terms of, because we kind of allow people in batches. Yeah, I think the judges are done. So please, if you want to get involved, do sign up on the Slack channel.
Yeah, sure.
You can message me or Umar or any one of the team members. We also have Ayman, she's not on the call today, but she's also part of the community team. So you could also reach out to her potentially if you do want to get involved, maybe on a voluntary basis. That is also an option.
Yeah, sure, will do.
Inshallah. Cool. I think our judges are going to be with us shortly, because I think they have left the breakout room. Yeah, I can see our judges are back with us.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome
Roger,
back.
are you there? I think you're muted, Roger, at the moment. Yep.
Okay, it works for me now. So shall I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Yeah, go right.
Hello, hello everyone. We've hated doing this. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. But I won't keep you in suspense. We loved everything we've seen today, and we'd love to have all three options, but we've actually voted together that number one goes away with the prize. And we thank you particularly for the presentation and the way you thought about the community, as well as us deafblind individuals needing the support of friends and mates and enablers. And I think we kind of preferred those words to using words like volunteers and helpers. That's a kind of sensitivity that people with disability have about these things. So we love the whole concept. We love the bringing together of all people, not just deafblind people with deafblind people, but giving our deafblind community the chance to have more contact with mates and enablers and peers. Peers means the deafblind community people as well. So we thank you in particular for that. We thank you particularly as well for the wonderful idea of recipe, taking recipe away from being a lonely solo kitchen activity to being a community shared, inspiring activity. That's terrific. And of course, pitch 3, the business of knowing where things are locally and being able to get to them and being able to share knowledge of where they are and how to get them with friends is terrific as well. So there must be disappointment. It was inevitable in the way the hackathon was set up, but we're not disappointed. We enjoyed everything that you've done, and we thank you for giving up your time, your skill, your knowledge, and your focus so quickly. You're amazing people to focus onto these kind of issues that some of us have thought about for years over the weekend is a tremendous, tremendous achievement. So I won't keep on. Thank you, and what a great evening.
Thank you all so much. That was the most difficult thing we've had to do. I did say if we could have all three, we would definitely have all three, because, and I said whichever one we got, whichever one we are thrilled to bits with. So thank you. You'll make such a difference to a community that I think what we loved about this one was that it's really deafblind specific. I think the others are for pan disabilities, whereas this is something really nice for the sensory loss community, and that's what we really loved about it, because they get overlooked so very often. So thank you.
We talk to people every day who really are lonely and really do want a mate. But I don't mean mate in any other sense than a good friend.
Am I not enough, Roger?
Well, there's that as well. There's that as well.
No, I mean, it was a fabulous evening. Fabulous talent, fabulous creative ideas, fabulous innovation, fabulous energy. Whew, brilliant pitches. I've learned a lot, these, as Roger so eloquently put it, they're always stacked up for a little bit of disappointment at the end, but they're really, please don't anybody be disappointed from tonight. It was a brilliant evening, and one I'll remember for a long time. So
I've never been so frustrated when I wasn't able to talk. Oh, there you go. What a great evening.
Thank you.
No, thank you so much to the judges, to Deafblind. You guys have provided so much insight and we don't. I mean, I'm on the judging panel, but I don't have any of the experience and insights that you guys have, and lived experience that Roger himself has. So you guys have been amazing. Thank you.
Can I just say one? I'm thanking you particularly for for keeping it all together. But one of the things that happens if you're deafblind, if you've got, I have a very serious hearing loss. If it wasn't for hearing aids, I couldn't hear any of this. So I don't get to hear your name. I don't get to hear your name clearly. And that's the kind of thing that people like us live with day in, day out, yeah?
Right, yeah, so my name is Muntasir, and the host's name is Alamin.
Okay, fine, thank you. And I still haven't heard it properly.
No, that's completely fine.
We can enjoy that together, can't we?
Yeah, so thank you very much, judges. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you, Tib. Thank you, Muntasir, for your kind words. I know it must have been a really tough decision. Ourselves, we were kind of anxious as well and stressed whilst you guys were away deciding the winner. But yeah, as it is with hackathons, we do unfortunately have to pick a winner. But like I said before, whilst the judges are away, we're all winners at the end of the day, one way or another. We are contributing to a greater cause than ourselves, a collective cause. So do feel kind of honor and pride that you are contributing to something which is greater than yourselves. So we do have a few more announcements before we go, inshallah. So just quickly share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. Oops, I don't know if that's the right one. Yeah, so we have a special announcement. So yeah, we are obviously Deen developers. We are a group of techies at heart, and we love to kind of play with innovative solutions and really work with the cutting edge of innovation. And we're really delighted to announce something really unique to this hackathon, something which is new and has not been done before. And we're happy to announce that this hackathon will be presenting all our attendees with eco-friendly NFTs to commemorate this hackathon. So I'm not sure how many people have heard of NFTs, but this is kind of the latest craze in the crypto blockchain space at the moment. But essentially, the purpose of these NFTs will allow you to kind of verify that you have actually contributed your time and effort and taken part in this amazing hackathon, which was organized by ourselves in collaborations with our friends at Deafblind UK, and of course, sponsored by Aziz Foundation. And essentially, it will prove that that you have participated and allow you to use this, on your CVs or on LinkedIn, and as part of your portfolio that you have attended and contributed. Yeah, so very, very, I guess, new thing. We hope that, I guess, the future is blockchain at the moment, and I guess we'll see more applications of such of this. More information, we'll release more information in due time. But yeah, this is really exciting because it is the next step in terms of showcasing the talent and the work that people put in, and the sacrifice that they put, and essentially, in a way, kind of storing that in a place which is kind of forever and timeless. So thank you once again. That is kind of part of the special announcement. Just to give you a preview of what that NFT looks like. Of course, it's a digital form of media, and it's, as the name, I guess, it's something which is non-fungible. So it is unique to you, and you get to cherish this forever, hopefully. And yeah, just thank you from us here at Deen Developers. Thank you to our amazing friends at Deafblind UK. And of course, we'd like to thank our sponsors. We thank you for really making this an amazing experience for myself and the team here at Deen Developers. Every team that we've worked with at this hackathon, you guys have been amazing. It's been great to meet you guys, to get to know you in this short amount of space. And of course, we're here as well So we're not just here for the hackathon. We do much more than just hackathons. So just to give you a few more examples, we recently did an accelerator program whereby we had about 6 startups. We took them through various stages of a startup journey, help them refine their ideas further. And hopefully the winner of this hackathon will also encourage you guys, because last time we also had one of the winners from our previous hackathon was actually part of the cohort. So we hope to also see you guys at our next accelerator program. Of course, we run events throughout the year, so do follow us on our social medias. We do have a thriving Slack channel, as I have mentioned before. Do join that as well. We'd love to see you guys again. And yeah, that is all from me. Umar, Muntasir, Deafblind UK, do you guys have any final remarks, any comments? Over to you.
I'm not sure who's going to go first, but I think from my perspective, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who took part. Massive thank you to Deafblind UK and Aziz Foundation for sponsoring the event. I myself have previously attended hackathons, and I'm an engineer by day. And just from an engineering perspective, the solutions that you guys have created and worked on over the past couple of days is honestly amazing. So I feel like, just to echo some of the words that Al-Amin said, you should all take pride in what you've built and what you've created. So yeah, I just want to say massive thank you on my behalf and the DD team.
Thank you so much.
On behalf of everyone at Deafblind UK, we would like to echo those thanks, and it's just been absolutely amazing. It's been months in the planning, and over this weekend you just haven't disappointed us. It's been superb. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Fabulous.
Thank you, Zoe. Thank you for the support.
Thank
and
you.
all the support and all the help. But yeah, I think that is all from us. Thanks for tuning in, and those of you who are watching from home, thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you all at our next event. And so, assalamu alaikum, and see you guys all soon.
Alaikum.
Guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.